Yo, welcome back. I'm going to give you a few tips on how to price up fuse board changes. Fuse board right here. Customers asked me to give them a quote for a upgrade, RCBO, SPD, sort of my choice on brand, what I go for. Few things that we want to look into for how we price it and what's involved. Step one, are we going to perform an EICR? An EICR is an electrical installation condition report. Messed that up. Which will give us an assessment of the overall health of the installation, the wiring, the accessories in the property. I've done lots of fuse board changes in the past where I didn't do this. We would change the board over, we'd give it a few tests prior so we sort of know what's what. We have gone in Bull in a China shop years ago, changed the board over. As we started to test it, we realised that we've got shared neutrals between upstairs and downstairs lighting. There's some accessories which shouldn't be on certain size cables. So we'd always recommend that we do a good test first. So we can either do an EICR, which you would price in, maybe, I've heard in the ballpark where it's £60 per board and it's £25 per circuit. But that's not how many breakers there are, that's how many circuits there are. So you could easily have a breaker in there which has 4 cables jammed into it, either 2 ring mains, ring final circuits, 3 radials, 4 radials. Do you know what I mean? That sort of stuff. And mainly we get this with lighting circuits or occasionally a radial circuit dogged in with a ring main. So £25 per circuit and £60 per board. 2 boards, obviously that's 120, and add that up. But what we would do is either knock that off the price of the installation that goes forward. We would still test the board after the new board that's put in, but we know we can knock that off the price of the new board installation. So here we will test it beforehand. We will come in, we will put a 1, 2, 3, 15. So already this is a 15-way board. We'll be looking at a 20-way board. I'm going to pull the front off in a minute. But we're going to do an ICR beforehand. That's the first thing. That's a day, a couple of hours depending. This is a 5-bedroom property, so we've got to work out for us on that. The other way is to do it which is what I do a lot of the time now, is that we will come in for the day and we will do almost a 3/4 EICR. We won't fill out an EICR itself, but we'll figure out what circuit does what. We will IR, we'll do every test that we physically can on the board to figure out what we want to do beforehand. So until pull the board cover off. Obviously this is still energized. I'm a competent electrician. Oh God, this is what we get with older boards. Look. Now that was a pain in the ass. So a few different things here. We've had a new circuit. We've got one RCD, this is all getting changed. You can see here you've got doubling up on the 6 amp, doubling up on the 6 amp, doubling up on the 6 amp. You've got a ring, a ring, a ring, 20 amp, 20 amp. So by the looks of it, we've got 3 circuits that have been doubled up. So what did I say, 15? So it'll be 18 circuits that we can perform an EICR on. That is the first way to do it. From there, you'd work out the price of the board and go from there if you were doing an EICR beforehand to price the board up. But the way we're not doing that, the way we're going to do it is we will test this in the morning when we turn up to do the board. Like I said, a 3/4 EICR so we can get to grips what's going on. When we come to quote, what Adam's done, he's done it with the customer's son, running our wander lead round to make sure that we have a connection for the bonding. Because one of the major things, especially for older properties, you're changing the board over, everything normally is quite simple. You've got a single socket in every single bedroom, a light switch, a pendant, you got your 2-way switching. They're normally the ones with a rewirable board where you have a shared neutral. What I mean by shared neutral, if you don't know, so you have your upstairs lighting circuit, your downstairs lighting circuit. They would take the live from the downstairs circuit to the light fitting downstairs, and then they would take the neutral from the upstairs circuit downstairs. So when you do the 2-way switching to top and bottom, there will be an imbalance within the circuit and it'll normally just trip both RCBOs, RCDs, whatever you're doing. A lot of the way people get around this, they either put it all on the same RCBO or on the same side of a split load board on the RCD, because you don't get the imbalance between the 2 different sides of the circuits on the boards. So we want to be checking for continuity on our bonding conductors, one to gas, one to water. There's oil, check the oil. Adam is just gonna, wherever he's gone, getting the tester out. We'll clip it here onto the earth bar. We will then go across, main water stop tap. Gas is just through here. We can just make sure we've got continuity and a reading below 0.04 or below, which is the reading we want. We've had it before with older properties as well. Instead of it being 10 minutes, it's been 6, but it's still tested between that readings. We've left it in place. We've left a note saying there's 6 more bonding, but it's still within regulations. So, and I'm happy to leave it the way it is. Adam set up the wander lead. The reason I'm saying test this beforehand, because the cable could be there, it could be present between the gas meter and the main water stop tap. It doesn't mean it's connected. Second of all, it doesn't mean it's done the correct resistance. So by checking this, we know it's a massive money saver for the customer or time saver for us. If we haven't priced this correctly, when you come to do the board and then you do your checks afterwards or prior, just before, like we was about to rip the board off, it's going to be a pain in the arse. It's going to cost you a lot of time and the customer more money if you're going down that route. You're having to charge more, or you just absorb the cost because you made the mistake because you didn't do the checks beforehand. And I'm just going to do that. It's just zeroing the meter out. It's the same thing with the tails, but we need to make sure another thing here as well, because the board is here and the main fuse is all the way over there, we need to make sure that the meter tails are protected through the fabric of the building. So either, it's definitely longer than 3 meters, so we need to fuse it down. When I say fuse it down, I've heard a few different sayings. You can either, you have to put it down to 63 amp, or from what I've been told by David Savory, which is a very reliable source of knowledge, is the actual fuse in the KMF switch, which is an isolator with a fuse in it, actually just has to match the main fuse rating in the head. But we don't pull main fuse heads out, so it's very difficult to know. It could say 100 amp on the side, but I've been known it's been 80. Right, 0.04, that's on the gas meter. I'll run you outside and I'll show you the outside box in a second, and run you through whether or not we need isolation switches, so you can speak to Western Power, that sort of stuff. We've got 0.03 for water, which means when we price this up, we know the bonding is fine, the main earth is okay. We're going to do a ZE in a second to make sure we got the right measurements for our earthing arrangements, to make sure the main earth doesn't have to be upgraded. We've got 25mm tails here, and we've got a main 16mm earth in there. So we're going to go and see what's covering the device, what device is covering the main tails and the outside cutout, and equally what the earthing arrangements are. Right, gas cupboard. You can see we've got it sealed, we've got the 10mm, it's on there. And now the outside cut out with this. So you've got 25mm tails, 16mm earth. It's a PME earthing arrangement where the earth is connected to the neutral in the cutout. We've got some flexi conduit. So this is a car charger that's actually put on the inside of the property. Well, it's actually on the outside, but there's another board here, hence the Henley block splitting the tails. We've got an isolator, but we've not got the tails fuse for over 3 meters. That's a bit ropey, there's all the bends on that. But on top of it as well, if it's running trunking, we're okay. I need to double check the meter tails, because if they've run within the fabric of the building, realistically we need to put an RCD on it, to cover it, and that is only in case someone screws through it or whatnot. There's no protective device, there's no overcurrent other than the main fuse, but there's no fault protection on the cable either. So it's something else that we need to add on. But that would mean speaking to the DNO, extra cost, because we can put it after here, we can isolate it, we're happy with that because we don't want to be pulling the main fuse because that's not our property, but this is, anything after the meter is ours. The problem with this is space in here, so you need to figure out what you want to do. But most of the time, if there isn't an isolator, you need to speak to the customer, they will contact Western Power or their local distribution to get someone out to fit an isolator so you can work on the property nice and safe. So the tails actually run the fabric of the building. There's not really any access, like any space we can do. We have an isolator, so we can put an RCD. So what I'm going to recommend, we cut the tails this side, we bring it through into the garage, we do an RCD on this side, run it up, cover the tails, more cost, but it's what's needed to be passing it off as safe. We can put the cover back on now, but yeah, we'll put a price together, figure out the size of the board we need, and then how long. This will take myself and Adam a day. We'll give it a test in the morning, figure out what's what. It's going to be a long day. Adam can mess around with the tails over there once it's been isolated and locked off, working safe. And or equally, I can do the board. We can replace the trunking what's here, because we've had a few additional circuits added over the years, put some 4x2 trunking on, get it nice and neat, and go from there. So ballpark figure, I'm probably thinking it's going to be about the £850, £900 plus the VAT mark with the RCD, messing around with the tails a little bit. Doing the board, notification to building control, certification, and yeah, it should be a pretty sweet job. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts and processes are with it, but always try and check bonding, check your supply, do a few tests if you have it and you're present, but let us know if you do EICRs beforehand or you test on the day like we do. We have done EICRs beforehand and then obviously had board changes afterwards when we've done the big spiel of EICRs last year. But yeah, let us know in the comments, and what would you price for this? It'd be interesting to know. Thanks for watching, take care now, bye bye then.